our leaders wise. Only then is human no more able to thrive. It's come for us to rise. Try to shape our minds.
How you doing tonight? Good. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. As I was saying before, my name is Sheila Linton, and I'm part of the Vermont Workers Center. I've been a volunteer with the Vermont Workers Center for over 3 years now, and I'm proud to be here tonight in solidarity to continue the people's movement that we've started. I want to welcome all of you to this community meeting sponsored by the Put People's First campaign of the Vermont Workers Center and our allies. And the Vermont Workers Center works to help people see how systems of oppression divide us from each other. And we work to combat these systems of oppression so that we can all work together. We believe that the most effective means of making positive change is people working together on their own behalf to directly confront those who hold power. We are grassroots organizers. We make leaders out of everyone. Sometimes we all come from different backgrounds, but tonight we are unifying together in a common struggle. But at the end of the night, we're going to come together within that struggle and move for change as people. So the goal of tonight's meeting is, this meeting is intended to be an opportunity for all of us, which is now sort of referred to as the 99%. Get your buttons downstairs, they're really cool. To meet each other and to share our stories, because we, all of us, are the experts. And to identify and begin to develop strategies for working together to solve the problems that we face. Tonight we will be organizing and take a step forward and taking action together to put people first and the planet in Vermont and support each other in doing this important work. We are seeking public policy that puts people first, not just wealthy people, not just corporations, but people, us. So the agenda is, after I'm done speaking, we'll officially start the meeting, and we're going to start it by viewing a short film trailer of the strength of the storm. We're going to hear testimonies from some of us about the crises and challenges that we're facing. We will see that though each of us are facing different challenges in our lives, there are common themes and common root causes to our problems. We will then break up into groups of 3 or so, to give all of you the opportunity to participate and interact with each other and talk about what challenges you're facing today and how we might work together in finding solutions. After we share in groups, we'll have the opportunity to talk about our shared goals, our strategies for accomplishing those goals, and specific actions we can take right away. Marilee Derwin is a Glen Park resident who organized in her community to help meet the residents' needs after flooding from Tropical Storm Irene, and she's going to introduce our film. Come up here, Marilee.
August 28th, for a number of people in Brattleboro, their lives changed radically. Glen Park is a tiny park, 33 trailers it was. It got flooded from all 4 directions. Up to about 4 feet, meaning that, wood piles, kerosene tanks, everything got turned over, washed away, water came up into the insulation, and in many cases it came up into the trailer itself. And we're not talking about nice, clear water. We're talking about yug. Smelly, awful, dirty yug. Out of the 33 trailers, there are 22 left. 11 people lost their home entirely. 11, I should say, trailers were gone, couples, individuals, lost everything. First few days, nobody came. Except I got phone calls from United Way saying, do you need volunteers? Yes. Yes. And then the paper came. All right? And then people started coming in droves. Can't say thank you enough. People from all over this state, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, New York. I'm not going to say too much about the film, except to thank the Vermont workers for doing it. They were some of the first on the scene. We talk about needing power. Let's see, mobile home owners for equality and justice, organized by Vermont Center, was instrumental in persuading the powers that be that they should do something.
Just a quick question. You mentioned the powers that be. Who was that?
All right. We seem to think that sometimes the state is against us. All right. I think the state was pretty good to us. I really do. They may have needed a little bit of push, like threatening to haul one of the destroyed trailers onto the State House lawn. That helps.
Next up this evening on our agenda is the community testimonies who have prepared something to share with you this evening. So first up, we're going to start with Kay Curtis.
Hello everyone, my name is Kay Curtis and I run Happy Hands, which is a licensed early education program in Brattleboro, Vermont tonight because early educators in Vermont have joined together to start a union, to form a union. And the purpose for doing that is to organize and strengthen the provider voice on issues that affect our profession as early educators and the children and families that we serve. We can do this. Once we have a union, we can increase public funding for early ed. We can deal with issues around affordability for families. We can reduce the turnover in the profession. And we can truly support the profession through participating in the writing of regulations and other issues that come up for us as early educators. The issues that we hope to address through our union fall into two silos. One is respect for the profession. The other issue is quality. Early educators are interested in the quality of what happens to these children and their families. We believe when it comes to early education, we are the true experts.
And next up, Kira, who is an organizer with the Vermont Workers Center, is going to be reading on behalf of Lynn Lewis, who is from Putney.
So Lynn Lewis is my mom, and she couldn't be here tonight because she just recently had double hand surgery and can't drive, can barely walk around. So I'm going to read her testimony that she wrote. As a survivor of 35 plus surgeries, I am quite disabled. My concern is the lack of transportation for residents who do not live within the Brattleboro city limits, but need transportation for doctor's visits, pharmacies, hospital testing, etc. I feel empowered to know that as part of the Vermont Workers Center, we can organize together and have our individual needs heard.
Sorry. I'm actually representing the Brattleboro Walk-In Clinic tonight. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. In the Brattleboro Walk-In Clinic, which is right up next towards the hospital, Tom Evans and Barbara Evans, physicians, started this about 19 years ago. And we're only open one night a week, Tuesdays from 5:30 to about 7. To about 8. And it's mostly for folks who have no insurance, can come in and get some level of primary care. It's not extremely sophisticated, but basic needs, both dental and medical. And we service about almost 1,000 people a year in that. That's only a 2-hour time frame. So, but it's a remarkable. The physicians that they volunteer the time, the dentists do. And I think it serves a great service, but I'm on the board there, and we also share about saying it'd be nice if this wasn't necessary. You know, that for 19 years trying to provide a service that you would hope you'd almost be put out of business with. On a personal note, my son passed away about 5 years ago in an accident. And I've been very fortunate. I've had health care my whole life, through my jobs and things like that. And he was in need in the hospital up in Burlington for about 4 days. And in the end, it's as awful as it gets. But everything was covered. You know, there was something fortunate about it. But then I came down here to hospice, and I was taking part into some parent support groups for people who had lost a child who was 21. And as I sat around the table, there was about 8 of us. And there were about 6 of them. Nobody had health care. They having sort of one of life's, I think, worst traumas. They had the compounded need of not being able to cover their own health care. And I just think in a world like ours, in a civilized society that we like to think we are, we can do better than that. And personally, I'm really driven by it because I just see we can do better than that. So my time is up.
Hi, I'm Amy Frost, and I have a farm in Guilford. So I guess what I want to talk about is how I got into farming. So I started this farm, very fortunate, on a couple of acres in Guilford, and have found that as a farmer, I'm really not a capitalist, and so I really struggle with trying to make money. Selling my product is not really what I'm interested in, and so I balance trying to make the money in such a way that I'm selling food sometimes, but I can't actually afford to buy myself. It's really nice to be working with other small farmers and other activists to collaborate and to work together to share resources around production, marketing, doing direct marketing to individuals through CSAs.
I think one of the struggles for some of the struggles for farmers is access to land.
But I'm not dead end on that land, meaning that I don't have very much infrastructure because I sort of build as I go. Another piece, there's legislation that's just been passed, which is around the E. coli, the food safety scare. So from my understanding, it seems that small farms will have a hard time meeting the criteria because of the infrastructure needed. So, thanks.
So my name is Ingrid Burrows. I was born and raised in this area, the Brattleboro area. I left for about 8 or 9 years in my teens and early 20s to go to boarding school and to college. But I had to move back to move in with my parents for a little while because I was broke and I didn't leave school when I started accruing debt, and I had huge school payments, which I couldn't afford. About 6 years ago, I started on the path for self-employment. I make jewelry, skincare products, medicinal and fermented foods and drinks, and I've just gotten into farming. And 2 years ago, we moved to a house in Marlboro with a small amount of land. We used to live right in town where we couldn't grow any food at all that we can farm. We're renting, but our landlord is generous enough to give us flexibility to grow some crops there. We had our son, who will be 2 next month. In the summer, I struggle with how to be self-employed, which includes the manufacturing of my products, all of the sales, all the advertising, as well as all the accounting, try to have a website, do website design, maintenance. These are not things that I have any training in. I'm just having to figure it all out myself. As well as I'm trying to homestead as much as possible in order to bring down the cost of our living, grow our own food. So all of this going on while I have no childcare. So I've been trying to do childcare exchanges with friends, but I never have any funds to pay for childcare. Currently my son's My son's father is currently unemployed, so I've been trying to piece together low-paying jobs to pay for our family of 3. And I should add that these jobs are all with small independently owned businesses who I know would like to pay me more, but they also need support, and they pay me what they can pay me. I absolutely depend on the state services. I can get like food stamps and fuel assistance. Fuel assistance bought me 1.5 cords of wood this year, and wood is all I use to heat my entire house. So I'm trying through homesteading to create a holistic and healthy life for my son, where he can work with me in the garden and eat well. Without the finances to pay for even the basics, let alone childcare, it's hard to get anything done with a toddler. My ideal goal is to homestead in community with 1 or more families with children, so that all the parents can work together and share childcare and other responsibilities, and the children can have a more healthy, natural, and social living environment. But the challenge is how to make all this happen with so little resources to start with.
So my name is Wyatt Andrews, and I recently graduated from Castleton State College in the spring of 2011. I currently work several part-time jobs, and yet I struggle to keep my head above water. Many of us are told that college graduates make more money than those without college degrees. And while this may be true to some extent, the difference in pay hardly makes up for the $400 a month I struggle to come up with to keep myself from spiraling further into debt. I'm fortunate enough to have parents like Ingrid who are willing to help out however they can. They're providing me with a place to stay when finding a place of my own at an affordable rent is just a dream. And my parents are also struggling right now to take care of my grandmother who has dementia, and that's a lot for any of you that have family members who have dealt with that. Yet I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones. I have the support of my family. I live in a state that has provided me adequate health insurance at almost an affordable price. And I finally this month started receiving food stamps, $30 a month. It's not much, but it's helping me eat something besides rice, or at least getting me the hot sauce to put on my rice. And regardless, I know that there are other college students who do not have access to the things I have. And that it's really for them that I've agreed to stand up here today. There are many of us who graduated college into this same job market where a college degree is more of a burden and debt than a boon to our resume. We're still flipping burgers, pumping gas, bussing tables. In my case, I run after school and do some jewelry for a local businessman who wishes he could pay me more. And no benefits, as all of the jobs are part-time, and nobody will hire that. So I know that all of us struggling college students can help out our situation by changing to alternative forms of payment. But unless we start finding those good-paying, benefit-giving jobs that so many of our college counselors have promised us, we'll be in debt well into our 50s.
Hi, I'm Carol Perry, and I'm a young great-grandmother who has lived in Glen Park for about 3 years. I was lucky when the flood arrived at our park. I was lucky that I had flood insurance, which I was lucky. They were a very good company, and we had 11 trailers in our park that were devastated and had to be destroyed and had to be removed. And as you don't think about your emotional toll that you have, even with the fact that I had insurance, just seeing everybody's, all their personal belongings, all their old pictures and all their clothes in their beds and everything, living room furniture and things sitting out in their front yard completely destroyed. And we had to drive by this every single day when we came home. And it was devastating to all of us. And we had people in our park that had nervous breakdowns because of this. We had people in the park that had heart attacks, and people that were hospitalized because of the destruction and the not knowing. You know, everybody that has been in the park has found some place to go. And you know, it's just so hard to believe that this is happening to you in Brattleboro. And I think it overwhelmed our town, and that we had to become organized ourselves without the help of the town at first. You know, when we the people, when we learned that we were going to have to do this, we became actually blessed with the people that lived in our park. With the couple of people that did the organization, they got all of us out in the park, all of us to meet in the middle, and everybody helping everybody else. We were like, the reason I became involved in this organization is that we had help come to us. And then I was asked to go to Barry, and I went to Barry and I saw this meeting. I saw how the people in this organization get together and fight for what they want, and the state representatives were there and they listened to us, and we were able to get a lot of help because we were there speaking and we were there asking, and they were there to help us. That's why we have to organize, and we have to organize for us, not for the rich people that are out there taking over our government and taking over the things that we need, taking over. We wouldn't have to have free food, free health care, and all these free things that we need, which we need, if they were sharing with us like they share with the rich people in our community. That's it.
I'm Ellen Schwartz. I live here in Brattleboro, and I'm the third of the co-facilitators. I've been a volunteer with the Workers Center for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I've been involved with the healthcare campaign and now with the Put People First campaign. And first of all, I want to thank our 7 testifiers sharing their stories with us. And as I was listening, I was thinking how so often when you hear like policymakers talk about the budget, or they talk about, you know, moving money here or moving money there, the whole human part of it is left out. It's like this isn't really affecting human beings, but hearing all these stories really brings to the fore the impact that those faraway decisions have on the lives of individuals and families here in our community. So I really appreciate the 7 of you being willing to step up and share your personal stories. We're going to move now into a more interactive part of the meeting. I feel like, you know, everybody's been listening really intently for a pretty long time, and so now you're going to get a chance to talk. And what we're going to do is we're going to break up into groups of about 3 and have a chance for people in those little groups to converse with some other members of the community. And we have some guiding questions for those conversations, and I'll go through those, but that's really just to sort of get you started. If you have a burning desire to talk about something and you don't need those guiding questions, don't feel like you need to be limited by them.
Well, this message is very exciting. I'll just see $1,000. Okay. Yep. So George, that's my price. And we do like that was just college, and that was like college, like this is why we're trying.
Well, anyway, and I know that I was raised in
This is a first one. I'm going to story what I would do when was this?
Oh, 7 years.
Okay, I don't know.
So anyway, I'm retired. My little family that is close by lives in Marlboro. My daughter, my son-in-law, and my soon-to-be 4-year-old grandson. My son-in-law doesn't work. I stay away from that one. My daughter works part-time. And I help them as much as I possibly can.
Can I go next?
Yeah.
Because I relate to her so much. I too have son-in-law that's not working. That's stretching me. Well, anyways, and I know what that's. I'm a great grandmother.
Yeah.
And I am constantly asked for something. You know, it's like, can we use your car? It's like constant. I'm on Social Security and a teeny weeny pension, and my husband's in a nursing home.
I think in general, as young people, we're all facing the common ground of a terrible economy and making a future in a world that doesn't seem to have one.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the healthcare as a human right and a little bit about put people first as well. About 3.5 years ago, as I stated before, the Vermont Workers Center started the Healthcare as a Human Right campaign. We realized that healthcare was one of the biggest issues facing Vermonters' lives, and we had to do something about it. For many decades, people have been advocating for universal health care in Vermont. I see many of you in this room who have been doing that for many, many, many years. Some people have more than others. It is not being raised fairly, and it is not being spent fairly. And a universal health care system which treated health care as a human right, we needed more than good arguments. We needed to get organized. You can today find an organizing committee in all counties throughout the state of Vermont. We also held countless meetings with legislators. We turned out in hundreds to hearings in our red T-shirts, which many of us are wearing here today. And 3 years later, Vermont was the first state in the country to pass the real universal health care law. Why we've launched the Put People's First campaign. We know we can't have health without healthy food. We can't have health without a healthy environment. We can't have health without safe, affordable housing, jobs, and with dignity and education. All of our human rights are interconnected. And we also know that the next phase of our work on healthcare will be the financing, which is the budget issue. This is why we need people's budget to make sure our human rights principles and values are reflected as the state crafts its budget. Every year at the State House, our legislators create a budget. That budget is a statement of priorities. How many agree that our budget is a statement of priorities? Raise your hand. Right? When you go home and you do your checkbook, you budget it with your priorities. And we're saying the priorities need to be putting people first and the planet first. What if instead of being pitted against each other, the people who are fighting for housing, for health care, for education, for all of those things, all got up to fight for a whole new system where people's fundamental rights were ensured? Changing the priority of elected representatives, making public policy that puts people first, is really a matter of changing the balance of power. Alone, there is not a lot we can do to create change. Together, united, we can have our voices heard and create real democracy. This means that we have to ground our thinking in the idea that the principal role of government is to uphold the rights of people in our communities. Then, when legislators, the governors, try to tell us that there is not enough money, that necessary programs must be cut or cut back, without hesitating, we will tell them that we simply have to raise more money. So we're going to close out tonight's session by thanking all of you for being here tonight. So I'll give you a applause. Thank you.
Appealing to the masses doesn't